if that sneaky feeling of wanting, needing validation from your mom, from your dad, or from a sibling or someone that it's very close to you, it can be a friend, even a coworker, your boss. If you have been experiencing those feelings of realizing, like, okay, I feel uncomfortable seeing that I've been wanting and needing validation. I've been seeking for this the approval from this person, or even if you haven't realized, maybe just by watching this video, uh, can bring some light into how you have been feeling, and you might get to that place of awareness of, oh my god, this is what's been happening, this is that feeling, uncomfortable feeling that I've been having these days. And again, I celebrate whenever we get to meet, whenever these videos find you or you find me, you find these videos, because as I said, as I share a lot of the times, we all are going through similar things, and I've been picking up this energy in myself and in other people that I follow, that I admire, my coaches, people in social media. And it's the relationships theme, but especially it is presenting in this way. I am experiencing in this way of, I've been working on coming to this realization, awareness, but also I've been working on understanding what I need, how I want to feel, what do I need to feel comfortable in this new understanding. And it's the fact that in those close relationships, it is very normal, especially if it's gonna be our parents, that we still seek for that approval, for that validation. But after, we're grown-ups, and after we get to learn a little bit about our patterns, and if you are in this space, if you follow this lifestyle of creating change, of creating the life that you want, we get to a point of understanding that it doesn't serve us, it doesn't support that lifestyle, needing and wanting that validation from others. But as you probably are familiar, this is something that, yeah, it's a concept, we understand it, but it presents in different moments, in different ways through our process of creating change, right? So sometimes we receive these waves of, oh, it's so loud, it is so present, that I see myself this behavior, this need, and or maybe it's just being reflecting back to me, and it's creating some, discomfort, some emotions. And I'm sure you already understand that whenever we experience moments like that, it is an opportunity to review, to revisit, to take a pause, and ask ourselves how I want to respond, who I want to be. And especially this year, we have been going through a lot of change, not only in the spiritual world, but we know that with AI and everything that is happening, we have been presented with opportunities to create new things. And even sometimes we don't even we don't have the time to create the change. We're just like, like, okay, this is the new. Adapt quickly. I don't know, I feel like it's been an exciting year. I can imagine that there are many scenarios for people. But I like change, and I think even if it's challenging, and even if we bring us to the age of, our capacity. Am I saying something that makes sense in English? Sometimes I get creative. But yeah, when we feel like we're being pushed to the, the end of our capacity, I feel like there's always a lot of magic on that other side, when we really just let go of everything and all the expectations and all the wanting to know what's on the other side. And when we surrender to those moments, a lot of magical, amazing things happen. Well, I'm getting already a little distracted with the point of this video, and it's, yeah, really like sitting with that idea. Okay, this is presenting, this is what we got. Now what can I do with this? How can I evolve this way of being? How can I, it is, I think we are we agree with the idea that, yeah, creating like dramatic like massive change, it is possible. But I think I want to say you agree with the fact that it is beautiful also to just go with the flow with life, and creating change gradually. So how can we meet those parts of ourselves today, and how can we give them what they need? They're asking for something. If there's discomfort, it's because there's probably what I'm talking about. There's an opportunity to meet ourselves with a little bit more love, with a little bit more compassion, with a little bit of more space. And it's a tender space where we are entering, especially if we're talking about mom and dad. Those are for most people, the closest relationship since we are born, especially mom. We were 9 months in her belly before we came to this life. So if you reflect back for a little bit in your relationship with them, like, it is a really nice feeling. I cannot deny how good it is when my dad is excited, proud of me, of the things that I do. It gives you something. It feels good. It is just the nature of how we are wired and built. Same with our moms, right? When they're just proud of the things that we do. So getting the opposite of that, it's never gonna be a good feeling. It's never gonna feel, it can create resentment and anger. And I've been going through a lot of those layers, and the invitation I want to offer you, if you're experiencing something similar, it's to come to a place of acceptance. And this is, I know it's challenging. It is going to require that next level, that next ability, capacity of you to see with who you are and with the life that you have at the moment. You might have another life in a few months, but right now, what's your capacity? What can you hold the space for? Can we accept that our own parents or favorite person in our lives might not like us, might not approve and validate 100% exactly who we are? That's, by you hearing this, probably because I also feel in my body, it creates like, I want them to be super proud of me all the time, and I want them to like me all the time. Yes, that's the boys, and that's the way of feeling of our younger versions that still feel like they depend on them to survive. And we already know that we don't depend on them. So it's just like we have the awareness. We just need to give a new place to those feelings and to those ways of seeing and relating. And it's very liberating. It's absolutely transformative and liberating. I can share a little bit. I feel like I've been touching on this experience a little bit in my last videos, but I am at a beautiful place right now where I feel fully comfortable to share more deeply about an experiment that I'm not going to say this is what you have to do to get to where I am. I feel like a lot of the energy that I'm bringing today to this video, to this space, is that I kind of wanted to be at this place where I'm like, look, I did this. You don't have to do it. These are some of the benefits I received, but I am at a place where I can just share how you can get to receive those benefits without going as far, I guess, or as deep. Although you're always invited. It was very transformative. It was really yeah, unexpected, mind-blowing. It was a very deep feeling, knowing that made me do what I did, what I'm gonna share. uh, there wasn't like five different options for me. I just saw clearly this is what I have to do, and I feel like today I can see life, relate with others, with myself, from a grounded, loving, compassionate, authentic place that I don't see how I would have been able to get here without having someone like me today sharing with you, telling me about these concepts, or doing what I did. And what I did was that, how many months ago was this? April, I want to say, beginning of April, maybe. I was having what we can say a lot of dynamics that were super challenging. And I was in the process, I've been sharing in my channel also that I am starting a business guided by my intuition, and I've been sharing different things about what that business is. It's still, in the process of taking the form of how it is going to, the form that what I'm feeling these days is like, what I'm focusing now is like, I know what I want to create, but I want to make sure that that business is going to serve. So that's where my focus and energy right now is. Like, what is it that I can create that is going to serve the most, people, the humans that are going to interact with that business. Anyways, so in the process of building this business, I've been being guided by my intuition. I've been following my intuition. I've been making decisions. I wanted to see Miami, and I felt like I needed to be in California. So I moved back to California. In that transition, I was temporarily in another place in Florida. I was in Tampa. So I was in a kind of vulnerable place emotionally, because I was going through a change, and the thing with following our intuition is a tender, it's lifestyle. We have been living life in the knowing, having certainty of what's next, having a job, having, I don't know, like plans, and I've been giving up of that since last year. And I've been just following my intuition. So I've been learning how I can structure my life in a way that I still feel safe, right? That I'm like, okay, let's just flow, and let's just do whatever I feel like doing every day, every week, every month. But still, we, each of us, will need things that will help us to feel uh, safe inside of us, right? We can get into that in maybe in other videos. I feel like I've been sharing a lot of this in my videos, but it's just so much juice that I have to share that I want to go into all the details of this story, but I want to get to the point of this video. So let's say, yes, I was in a tender, and forgive me, this is the soundtrack of San Francisco. I don't know how many of my videos uh, have the sound of the sirens in. Anyways, so yes, I was in this very tender place, putting all my energy in feeling into. That's, I think, what it takes a lot of our energy when we're following our intuition. It's a lot about feeling into things, how this environment feels. Is this vitamin serving me? What do they need to feel like I have what I need right now? So it's a dance, but I've been learning, to be very connected to myself, being very present in every moment, and making sure that I'm providing to myself whatever I need. It's a master. It's not something that you learn, in a week or so. Different for everyone. I'm still in that journey, in that process of learning all these things. And while I was there, learning about the place, getting familiar with the people I was spending time with, I started having dynamics that were very, very, very intense, very clear, that it was kind of like a pattern. Everywhere I was getting the same pattern. And it was one day that I was on the phone with my family, and I was just kind of going deep, like, what is about this pattern? Like, it's so loud, it is everywhere. I'm sure, well, I would say some people might have be you might be familiar with these moments where it's just like so loud everywhere, right? So I was on the phone with my family. I think it was just like in an hour that I was speaking with my mom, with my sister. And then I was like, oh, it's so clear. This dynamic, this pattern that is repeating, it's coming from my relationships with them. It was very clear for me to see that, oh, this is the root. It's, I think we all get to those discoveries in different ways. That's how it happened to me. And because I was so overwhelmed, and I knew my main priority was taking care of my energy, because taking care of my energy is what is guiding me. It's my fuel, it's my guidance right now. So I was like, I need to take a space. And I communicated in a very loving, kind way with everyone, my mom, my dad, and my sister. Maybe to share a little context, I'm from Colombia, and maybe if you're a little familiar with our culture, we are very family oriented. We speak on WhatsApp. I used to speak with them every day to share everything we're doing. It is part of there's a lot of beauty in that. In my own case, I started realizing that that wasn't serving me. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I need some space to process. I see clearly where it's coming from. I just need to understand what I have doing, what are the parts of myself that are creating this, that still are attached to having this, that is not feeling good, that is not supporting what I'm creating in my life very much. So I went through, the transition of coming back to California without being in contact as often with them, just internally, spiritually, and emotionally, having, we can say, it felt like a breakup. Yeah, just taking a break. It's taking a break with them. And I want to say, for a couple of weeks while I was, kind of settling down in the city, and, going through the process of moving back to a place and going through all the emotions and all these things, I intentionally put the whole thing on, on the side. And I was like, I'm not gonna put my energy understanding and, working through the whole thing. I know there's gonna be a moment where I will have the right energy to focus on that. Something else that I want to share also, if you're getting curious and you're getting inspired by doing something similar to what I did, something that I think is important, will be helpful for you, it's that I am a manifestor in human design. I'm a emotional 6-2 manifestor in human design. It's just some information that might be helpful, because I don't have a lot. I don't generate energy, like every single day. I have my lows and my highs. So I have to preserve, and it's not that I have to, I love preserving my energy and being very selective and in what I put my energy. So maybe that's giving you a little bit of understanding on how I flow and how I do, how I make decisions. And so I was feeling that, I will have clarity at some point in how I want to approach the situation with them. I wasn't in contact with them, and I was going through many other experiences, transformative, important experiences. And when the time came to reconnect and to create a space for feeling into those relationships and how I wanted now, after that space that I created, to relate with them, the few things that were very clear for me were that, one, that a lot of the things that were part of those relationships in the past didn't feel authentic, which is, it's an interesting feeling. It can bring up a little bit of guilt. It can bring up a little bit of resentment. I think the resentment piece comes from knowing that you were in those relationships in that same way for many years. So you're like, why they didn't allow me to see that, like ideas like that, like why they didn't mm, allow me to just be myself, or why resentment even with yourself too, like why I stayed. And we might experience the whole spectrum of feelings, but at the same time, I think we all have our process where we get to that place that I inviting you to give yourself the opportunity to be, and it's that place of acceptance. Those many years that I was in the relationship, I just didn't have the awareness. My level of consciousness was different. Now, thanks to that space that I created, my awareness, my consciousness is showing me this does not feel authentic. You need a space. That's something that I've been working on. As I said, as a manifestor, I think I've been investing a lot of time in my last year, I want to say, yeah, understanding my waves and when I do have energy and how I can use my energy. So just to use a little bit of that fact, it's like a manifestor, if we don't have consistent energy, it's like it doesn't make sense that we are going to be talking every single day, a lot of the times, many times during a day, with everyone and with so many people. So with that space, I started realizing like I'm a way better human. I feel way more connected with myself because I have now all this space to actually process, because I'm an emotional manifestor. So also I have my waves, So even if I force myself, sometimes I share that I journal a lot. Even if I'm journaling, I'm like, I want to know how I'm feeling. It doesn't happen. Sometimes I do have to wait 24 hours until I'm like, whoa, that's exactly how I was feeling. This is a lot of information, but I hope it's touching some parts in your heart, bringing some light. It's, as I said, the most transformative, the most impactful experience I have had in my last year, if we can say. So after having that moment of acceptance, and not only acceptance with the situation, but acceptance with who I am. I am someone that I'm not a 24 hours, 7 days a week person. Even in my romantic relationships, that's something that I have never realized if I wouldn't have taken that break, that space. I was during that time also seeing someone, and there were moments that I was emotionally overwhelmed, that I was just like, kind of forcing myself to go move through the things that were happening and to have the clarity and all these things. When I had a moment and I'm like, if I'm taking all this space from my family and I'm having all this clarity and all this awareness, probably I need the same even in my romantic relationships, even in the relationships I have with my friends. Maybe I cannot see people every single day. In human design, I have the 2, and the 2 is the hermit, right? It's like I've been forcing my nature to do things that it wasn't working. And now that I allow myself to give that space, when I come back, I just had an amazing, beautiful weekend with one of my best friends. And I think the energy was so amazing that day. We spent the whole day together because I had previously, like the previous week, like a lot of rest. And my mind was just like, it was ready to create. It was ready to be what it's meant to be. To my body also had, I'm sure you're understanding, especially if you are a manifestor too, and maybe you are also the 6-2 profile. Oopsies. You might be relating to these feelings. So it's a lot about giving ourselves permission to do things. I did the 2 months break from my family. You can have a version of this. But I want to also come back to the beginning of the video and the reflection about maybe you get into a place where you're realizing that you have been getting you have been searching for that, seeking for that approval and validation. I feel like I have a different awareness. I'm not gonna say that 100% I do not feel like wanting that approval, validation from my parents. My dad's birthday is coming up this week, and I had a conversation with him, I think yesterday, and I still have that little thing in my stomach where I want him to just, yeah, validate me. But now I can sit with that energy. Now I can sit with that feeling. And I can have more compassion with myself. And the other part, as I said, because I gave myself the space to go through the resentment towards them. I went through anger, I did see with those feelings, like I hate them. And I resent many moments and all these things. Like, I think it's really, really important. Otherwise, we kind of carry those emotions in the way we relate with them. So yesterday it was very beautiful for me to see that I can be present with what it is. I still want a little bit of that approval. I still can see that I don't feel resentment or anger, but I can see the pattern, and I'm sure the more I can be present with the new way I want to relate, the new way I am relating with them, little by little, because I have seen this, changing other patterns, changing other behaviors, little by little, it disappears, it transforms into more space, into more love. So the one other part that I want to say is that my relationship with them is transforming. And there's a lot of grief in that transformation, because it's just, I went from wanting their approval, not knowing that desperately I was doing a lot of things for wanting to receive their approval and their validation. Now I'm not doing that. So a version of myself died. It's gone. So there's grief, because my body, our minds are so used to operating that way. In the moment we are not operating that way, there's that feeling of grief. And so I want to just acknowledge, it is going to happen. Maybe you're there, maybe you're experiencing that. So the one thing that from, my own experience and from the bottom of my heart, it is important to be super compassionate with ourselves, and maybe there is a funky phase of that transition where it feels uncomfortable, where it's just like you want to be the new, you want to be the free person that only loves unconditionally and wants to receive unconditional love, right? Because a lot of what happens in those dynamics when we are seeking for the approval and validation, we almost like we have this agreement, energetical, emotional agreement, where we become a people pleaser and we receive conditional love. It's just yucky. It's not good. It just feels way better. So what I want to say is that it does feels more liberating, and you get to see that you get to love yourself unconditionally. That doesn't mean that they will love you unconditionally, which is one of the hard parts to accept. But that I would love you to learn a little bit from my experience, get inspired, and maybe see the beauty that it's on the other side of accepting this. There's just liberation and way more love with yourself, and just let go maybe of that idea that we all have. I think humans, society told us that we have been seeing movies where unconditional love is everything we want, and we have that expectation with our families or friendships or romantic relationships everywhere. So that might not be the case for some people. Some other people, maybe in the movies, or some people in real life, might get to experience that in this life, that their parents, everyone around them, love them unconditionally. That's beautiful. but that's realistic. Some of us don't get to experience that. We get to experience other things, which is beautiful too. You know, what I feel in my heart, I'm like, wow, I really want people to touch these feelings of having that acceptance. Like, I can love unconditionally myself. It is beautiful to receive that from others, but there's also a other level of beauty when you give to when you get to give that to yourself. More empowering, more liberating. So I honor you, I acknowledge you, wherever you are in the process. I wish you the best. There are way more, there are many ways how we can experience life. So just getting attached to one version of life, to the romanticized version of life, I think is very limited. It's limited. So opening our hearts and accepting the life that we have and finding the ways how we can love and relate to the life we have, I think it's just, there's a lot of power there. And the one last thing that I want to add is that once we have this transformation, especially with our parents, with our closest people, it creates a ripple effect in our lives too, which is one of the other wonderful benefits from doing these things. We start relating to people in another way. I was hearing one of my coaches the other day saying, we can be good either way, you know. So we start having that energy, like, if you love me, if you like me, great. If you don't, it's all good. I don't need your approval or validation. One last thing to close this video, I think I gave you a lot of juicy, a lot of good information. I'm excited for you to maybe apply this, or if you already applied it, to share with me how your experience has been. While you're doing all this process that might be uncomfortable, that might be, for some people, might be really challenging, the one thing that I would love you to do, not only for this process, but in life, to create a lot of space. And I want to say, I am super grateful to be at a place in my life where that's my main priority. I do not start a day without connecting with what I want to do today that brings out the best of me. I don't live a day without doing a few of the things that bring out the best of me. It's just non-negotiable for me. That energy that we create when we are doing our best, the best things that bring out the best of us, that we are passionate about, that we are excited about, is what can carry us during all these processes. These processes are challenging. They are, I want to say, almost like they're for warriors. People don't change. We already know that. Humans do not like change. People that decide to change, that commit to change, we're warriors. So it's a lot of self-love and being compassionate and giving yourself, what you need. But in that list of the things that you need to do any of these processes, please do the things that you have fun the most, where you forget about time, space, everything, and you're in that excitement energy. I've been talking about flow states, how we all can access to those states, and the power of that. Why it's so important? Because when we are in that energy, it's the compass. When we are creating a lot of that energy, when we are living in that energy, it creates a ripple effect in our lives, where it starts showing us like, yeah, that's what brings out the best of you. That's where you shine. Let's find other places where you can replicate, where you can create other forms, other versions of this, a bigger version of this. Let's expand. It's the fuel. It's the force of life. Some people still don't wake up every day prioritizing these things, and they go to the office and have stressful days, stressful weeks. And they're so wired at the end of the week, so they go and drink alcohol and do other things to avoid, to try to get rid of the stress and all these things. When the happy pill, it's as easy as start creating that list and repeating, committing to do that thing or those few things that you're passionate about, and become more than become. Yes, you become a master in that, but making those things your priority. You wake up to do other things, but that's the main thing. If you go to bed after a long day and you only got to do that, I mean, the feeling you go to bed with, it's just great. So it's just like, as I said, it's this ripple effect. It creates more and more and more of the good things. You go to bed feeling grateful, you wake up feeling excited to do more of that. I hope it's touching some places in your heart. I wish you the best. Please always feel free to ask questions. If you feel like this video inspire you and you would like to share with other people, I will be super grateful that you share it. And if you like my content and you would like to know when I'm posting a new video, please feel free to follow. I'm so happy that you're here. I cannot wait to continue sharing with you guys. For now, that's all. So much peace and love until my next video.